Turn the video for now.
Let me turn on our video.
Mayor, I think we're ready whenever you are.
Okay, good morning, everyone. If you can all rise, I call the meeting to order at 9:01. If you can all rise and join me in the flag salute. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. City Clerk, can you take the roll call, please?
Mayor Lopez,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ibarra,
Here.
Councilmember Davis,
Here.
Councilmember Menke,
Here.
Councilmember Gonzalez.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. City Clerk, do we have any changes to the agenda?
There are none.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Move,
Oh.
Davis.
I'll second Ibarra.
Motion by Councilmember Davis, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Ibarra to approve the agenda. I'll call the roll. Mayor Lopez,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ibarra,
Yes.
Councilmember Davis,
Here.
Councilmember Menke,
Yes.
Councilmember Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Now we will take public comment from members of the audience. If you would like to provide public comment through Zoom, please click the raise hand button. At this time, the public is encouraged to address the City Council on any matter that is within the subject matter or jurisdiction of the City Council. The public will also be given a chance to comment on matters which are on the posted agenda during City Council deliberation on those specific matters. Is there any public comment, City Clerk?
We do have one attendee with their hand raised. Marissa Olguin, go ahead.
Good morning, Council. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. This is Marisa Olguin. I'm the president of the Vernon Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for listening to my comments today, this morning. The recent LA Times article on Maywood's account of 10 former city officials charged for taking bribes, setting up dirty contracts, and misuse of public funds is a stark reality that Vernon is not far behind with its own story. What makes our city different is that last week, Vernon residents initiated a recall on council members Carol Menke and Diana Gonzalez, raising the alarm on corrupt behavior we have all witnessed since they were elected. Vernon Chamber of Commerce and key employers in the city applaud council members Leticia Lopez, Melissa Ibarra, and Bill Davis for constantly voting down unethical requests from Menke and Gonzalez. We also have applauded the city department heads who constantly need to redirect Menke and Gonzalez from asking inappropriate and unethical questions that threaten the independent housing lottery process. We've witnessed your inappropriate steps to undermine the Housing Commission and lottery process that was designed to take the power out of the hands of the council. We have also witnessed and have knowledge of your meetings and brazen attempts to approve a contract that basically bypassed a public vetting process and supported the policies that were in place to protect against unethical types of dealings in contracts. We see you. Your motives are bare for all of us to see. We see your connection to Curtis Fresh, Paul Phillips, Bill Barquette, Frank Hill, Tony Bauza, all involved in scrupulous schemes to attract them back into the city of Vernon, and you will be stopped. Therefore, we join with current reform leaders and former council members, along with the majority of Vernon residents who have observed your unethical behavior. We will join the recall effort to remove you from office. We will not tolerate a hint of corruption in our city. Business leaders, residents, city staff have worked too hard to let the city go back to what Diana Gonzalez constantly and publicly yearns for, Old Vernon. Well, Old Vernon no longer exists. When the reforms were championed 10 years ago, we promised we would never go back to the corruption of the past. This recall is an example of residents, employers, community, all speaking up, taking action, holding leaders accountable, demonstrating that Vernon has changed. Together, we will continue to hold our elected leaders accountable and make good on our promise that Vernon is a model and reformed city for healthy governance. Thank you.
City Clerk, do we have any further public comment?
We do.
I-
Douglas
I would
Williams.
like to respond and object to the next public comment, if I may, Madam Mayor.
No, we will go ahead and hear public comment.
Oh, you're not going to allow me to respond or object. I just want that on the record.
City Clerk, is she able to respond? City Attorney?
Madam Mayor, members of the council, in terms of objecting, there's no objection that could be noted at this time. The speaker would have the right to make a statement. I would, however, if any
Wait,
council wishes to,
Arnold, we can't hear you very well. Can you turn up your volume?
okay, hold on 1 second.
Thank you.
How about now?
It's a little bit better, yes.
How about now? Now? Okay. Madam Mayor, members of the council, in terms of objecting prior to public statement, I know that the public statement has been submitted. I would indicate that the speaker would have a right to make their statement. And then if there's any council member who wishes to comment on the statement that Mayor, you allow. for-
Hi, Arnold. Sorry,
Yes.
can you turn down your
Hello?
computer speakers a little bit? I think it's feeding back. If you could just speak louder, that'll be fine. Thank you.
Okay. Hold on 1 moment. Let me try this. Okay, how about now?
That's good. Thank you.
Okay. Let me start from the beginning again. Madam Mayor, members of the council, in terms of objecting prior to public comment, even though it's
broken up?
you should let the speaker make their statement and then allow any council member who wishes to make a brief comment in response to allow that brief comment and response.
Okay, so we can hear all the public comments and then get response?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's go on to public comment. City Clerk.
Please go ahead.
If you can please state your name and business affiliation, if any, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
You should have a button on your screen, Douglas, to unmute your microphone.
I am unmuted.
Okay, we hear you.
Oh, very well, very well. Good morning, Mayor, City Council members. Excuse me, my name's Douglas Williams. In my opinion, the city of Vernon is once more at risk of existing as an independent, self-governing municipality should the dysfunction of the city council continue. The stakeholders of Vernon, namely its resident voters, its resident non-voters, the city's employees, the tax-paying business employers, and the tax-paying property owners deserve a city government that uphold crystal clear transparency. It is altogether proper to hold members of the city council accountable for their actions and their inactions regarding civic transparency. Actions by elected officials must be for the public good, 100% of 100% during their time while serving in elected office. When discovery of malfeasance, incompetence, corruption, and other improper activities is found, it is incumbent upon the electorate to take actions to protect their interests against such persons in government, elected, appointed, or otherwise, given authority to act on their behalf, when they find such reasons to do so. This is the meaning of a government serving at the consent of the governed. When the governed no longer consent to the person or persons elected to govern, they must take swift action to lawfully remove that person from the government. Vernon witnessed the removal of corruption a decade ago. Actions by the state of California and the county of Los Angeles forced oversight and transparency upon the city of Vernon. It worked, and Vernon has taken many, many steps forward toward a transparent government until recently, when it was discovered that it has taken many steps backward and is again dealing with corrupt persons. In recent months, the city council has voted out of office a city attorney and is pressuring other city officials to adopt ill-conceived plans which will cause the city financial pains. The voters are seeing their city fall prey to outside corrupt influences again. The citizens of Vernon are righteous in their appeals for recalling elected officials whom they no longer trust. Thank you very much.
Thank you. City Clerk, do we have any further public comment?
I don't see any other hands raised at this time.
Okay,
May I comment, Ms. Mayor?
go ahead.
First of all, what's obviously missing from this whole equation are residents. What we have here is the Chamber of Commerce and a business owner. Now, this business owner is legally registered to vote at his business address. And since we've adopted the California Elections Code, that's very clear. I welcome any scrutiny and I stand on my record, which is public and can be viewed by anyone. This is the city's attempt to retain a rubber stamp council. They don't like it that we ask tough questions, and I'm very sorry about that. But this will be a hard fight. This is not the forum for this. Number one, it's not agendized, and it is not within the subject matter of the city council. So the city needs to take an unbiased approach to this whole recall. Thank you.
Okay, we will now go on to presentations, item number 1.
Item number 1 is Employee Service PIN Awards for January 2021, and Human Resources Director Earl will present the report.
Good morning, Mayor and members of the City Council. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We had 4 employees achieve service milestones with the city during the month of January. We'd like to recognize them this morning. For 25 years of service, we have Efren Sandoval, who's a principal resource scheduler and trader, who was hired by the city in January of 2001. We also have Ignacio Estrada, who's a police sergeant who was also hired in January of 2001. Both are being recognized for 25 years of service to the city of Vernon. Being recognized for 30 years of service, we have Anthony Serrano, who's the business and account supervisor. And we also have Victor Vasquez, who's a lead meter reader. And Anthony and Victor are being recognized for 30 years of service. Thank you.
Thank you and congratulations to them. Now we will go on to presentation item number 2.
Item number 2 is Implementation Plan for Senate Bill 1383, Short-Lived Climate Pollutants Reduction Act. And Health and Environmental Control Director Adrian will present the report.
Hi, Freddie, are you still on there?
I'm here. You are,
Do you have your video on?
because I said the hosts have stopped it.
Yeah, you stopped this
Oh, let's see. I'll send it again.
There we go. Can you put out the presentation, please?
Yes, I'm adding that now.
Good morning, Honorable Mayor and members of the council. This morning presentation is to talk about SB 1383, which is reducing short-lived climate pollutants in California. SB 1383 is the most significant waste reduction mandate to be adopted in California in the last 30 years. It requires the state to reduce organic waste disposal by 75% by 2025. In other words, the state must reduce organic waste disposal by more than 20 million tons annually by 2025. This bill will also require the state to increase edible food recovery by 20% by 2025. So there's a lot in this bill. Next slide, please. So this slide is gonna give you the breakdown what our waste stream is in California. So organic waste comprise about 2/3 of our waste stream in California. Food waste alone is the largest waste stream in California. So a lot of our food end up in the landfill. According to CalRecycle, the last waste characterization that was done in 2014, food waste comprise about 18% of what we dispose to our landfill. So with that said, SB 1383 also requires California, as I mentioned earlier, to recover 20% of all edible food that goes to a landfill. So as you can see over here on the slide, the whole idea that the state wants to ensure that SB 1383 is implemented on the local level, which we'll get into, is really reduce stuff going to a landfill. Next slide, please. So one of the issue about things going to a landfill, obviously, we all hear about how this is impacting our climate, but methane is one of the biggest or super pollutant that is a byproduct of stuff going to a landfill. So our landfill right now is responsible about 21% of the state methane emission. So think about that for a second. 21% coming from our methane emission to our landfills. So that is almost 72 times more worse than carbon dioxide for over 20-year time span. So we generate a lot of methane that gets into our landfill. So again, the idea of making sure that we reduce this, hopefully will reduce also the methane emission that comes out from our landfill, which cause all kinds of natural disasters such as drought, the fire, and all the other things that we're seeing. Next slide, please. So what is kind of, the slide is the breakdown of what the requirement is going to be for SB 1383. And as you can tell, we already passed 2020, and the goal was 50% reduction in landfill organic waste. The state is still working on that number to see if that was met or not. So we should have something to report once CalRecycle is down with the numbers. But the key takeaway here is 2022. It's really where the regs about SB 1383 kicks in and it takes in effect. And then 2025, based on the mandate, we're supposed to reduce 75% of reduction in landfill has to be done. And then obviously, as I mentioned, the 20% edible not going to landfill has to be implemented also. So it looks like 2022 is far, far away when this thing passed in 2016. But as you can tell, we almost less than a year away. Next slide, please. So the next slide then further breaks it down to key implementation dates. So as I mentioned, 2026 was what SB 1383 was passed. 2019 was the rulemaking from CalRecycle, which they did through 2019, 2020. And then 2021, January 2020 was supposed to have 50% reduction in organic waste. I'll tell you, I don't know when the number is going to come up, but I don't think the state met that goal, obviously, with the pandemic and everything else that happened in between. But January 1st, 2022 is really when the rest should be able to take effect and enforcement begins. And that's the key, is the enforcement, which we'll touch on in the next couple of slides. And then, as we mentioned, 2024 required local government to actually take enforcement action on businesses and even residential that are not meeting that goal. And then 2025, we have to meet a 75% reduction in organic disposal and then 20% increase in edible food recovery, which Vernon has businesses that do a lot of edible foods, other produce companies. Next slide, please. So these are some of the key jurisdictional dates that the CalRecycle and the state wants to see happen. As I mentioned, 2022, we're supposed to provide organic collection services to all residents. We have something in place like that already in Vernon, but also we need to include our businesses. As the city need to establish edible food recovery program, and that the city having its own or in conjunction partner with another company or business that does that, but we need to have something in place. We need to do an outreach to let businesses and residents know that 2024 enforcement will begin, so we need to prepare for that. And then we need to put in place a process to procure recyclable products. Also, for example, our purchasing practices, buying printed papers, not using bottled waters, all those other things. We need to start looking how do we put that in place. And then the last one the state wants us to have in place is what I call capacity planning. So we need to, again, have a plan in place that we're able to staff up, have the process in place so that when the enforcement starts in 2024, we are ready to do that. Next slide, please. So how does it break down for city as a jurisdiction? So as it's shown on 2022, we need to provide organics collection services to our residents and businesses. We need to establish that edible food recovery program. Remember, it's that 20%. 2025, we want to make sure that our edibles are not ending up in our landfill. We need to conduct education and outreach to the community to let them understand the requirements and what we understand business are doing already, and the same way we can help establish that. That would be something that we need to provide. And from the previous slide, we need to procure recyclable and recovered organic products. So now it stands in the city as general buying products that are recycled. Secure access to recycling and edible food recovery capacity. I mentioned either working with a company doing it or the city having a program in place to take care of that. And then last but not least, have a compliance program in place so that we can monitor compliance and do enforcement when necessary if business are not meeting that goal. Next slide, please. So how does this impact all of us? One of the things that the state actually recognized and CalRecycle have recognized that, yes, we have all this ambitious goal, we need to do all this work, but the state infrastructure is actually not fully complete. So CalRecycle is estimating that we'll require about 50 to 100 new or expanded organic waste recycling facilities to capture all this goal, that 75% and then 20% edible. So there's a lot of work that's in to be done. However, the state timeline stays the same. State one is to come 2025 for everybody being in compliance, or 2024, we need to have that compliance and enforcement action going to make sure that we have something in place and businesses are doing what they need to do, and also residents are doing what they need to do. and haulers are also doing what they need to do. So next slide, please. So how does that work in terms of running? One of the things that as we're looking at an ordinance is really to look at our haulers. Currently, we have about, even take 18 registered haulers in the city of Vernon. So one of the things that we want to look at is it a way to reduce that amount? Because with enforcement and inspection and making sure that this is being done, the heavy lifting will fall under the haulers also, to make sure that, you know, they're providing the recyclable containers, they're being picked up and is being monitored and being captured so it can be reported to CalRecycle. And with our current 18 haulers, it's almost next impossible to sometimes to get all this information consistently. And also, you know, having about 18 trucks running out in the city on a daily basis to picking up waste at this day and age, I think it becomes almost inefficient. So part of our proposal that will come back to council for consideration is looking at how to reduce the amount of haulers that we currently have in the city. And then the next one is to make sure that once we have system in place and we have the ordinance that CalRecycle is required to adopt, either we adopt a model that they provided, or we can make one, or we can customize the model that CalRecycle have provided, so that we can have compliance based on inspections on that model, and also able to help businesses and residents that need help. And then last but not least, make sure that our annual compliance reviews is done on time. And those are reported back to CalRecycle. So that's going to be another mandate that we as a local jurisdiction going to be on the hook to make sure that this is being implemented. So that would give us a lot of work to be done on that avenue. Next slide, please. So with that, I want to stop here and see if council have questions or direction or anything for staff.
Does City Council have any questions?
I do. Thank you, Freddie, for the presentation. 2025 is going to come really quick. What could we do as a city to jumpstart this?
So what we can do as a city quickly that we're working on with city admin is to really start engaging all the stakeholders, because we need to adapt and update our model, our ordinance. So with that outreach, we need to let all our stakeholders know what is coming and what needs to be done and prepare them for that. I know the beauty of City of Vernon, I think most businesses, one or another, are doing something, or they've been doing some kind of recycling. It's just that right now we don't have a good avenue to ensure that not only they're going to be in compliance, but how it's being captured. And really, that is what I mentioned about the haulers. When you do have 18 haulers picking up different loads and different trash stream and where it's going, it makes it difficult to kind of track everybody down and see who's picking up and who's dropping what. So one thing we can do is streamline that, where we reduce that 18 haulers that we have in the city. So I think that outreach right now will be great to let businesses and stakeholders know what is coming. And what I mean by an outreach, not only just to business, but to the haulers also, to see what their preparation is and what is coming with the new law. And then as a city, which we start doing already, is to look internally to see what can we do, like looking at our purchasing manual to see do we have some of this in place. And then last but not least, as we do an outreach to ensure that all our businesses bring that deal of organics, especially our produce companies, have an avenue to donate that food or give it away or do something with it that it doesn't end up in the trash bin. So we have some work to do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will now go on to consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar are to be approved with one motion. Items may be removed from the consent calendar by any member of the council. Those items removed will be considered immediately after the consent calendar. Does council wish to pull any items from the consent calendar? Are there any public comments for the consent calendar? City Clerk, do we have any comments?
There are no hands raised. Please
Okay.
remember, if you'd like to speak on an item, to use the raise your hand feature down at the bottom. Why are we so big?
Thank you. May I have a motion for consent calendar item numbers 3 through 9?
Move on the consent calendar.
Second, Gonzalez.
Motion by Councilmember Davis, seconded by Councilmember Gonzalez to approve the consent calendar. Mayor Lopez,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ibarra,
Yes.
Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
Councilmember Menke,
Yes.
Councilmember Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We will now go on to new business, item number 10.
Item 10 is Local Government Planning Support Grants Program, and Public Works Director Wall will present the report.
Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, the state of California requires that each city update the housing element section of their general plan every 8 years. Vernon must update its housing element this year. As part of the West Side Specific Plan, the Arroyo Group has been tasked with updating Vernon's housing element. The item before you approves and authorizes the formal submission of a grant application to the California Department of Housing and Community Development for a $65,000 grant to pay for the cost of updating the housing element. This is within the cost that the Arroyo Group had on their proposal. This concludes my report.
Does City Council have any technical questions for staff on item number 10? Are there any public comments for item number 10?
There are none.
Thank you. May I have a motion for item number 10?
I'll move, Menke.
Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
second Ibarra.
Motion by Councilmember Menke, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Ibarra to adopt resolution number 2021-01, approving and authorizing the submittal of an application to the Department of Housing and Community Development for and receipt of local government planning support grant program funds. Mayor Lopez,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ibarra,
Yes.
Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
Councilmember Menke,
Yes.
Councilmember Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carries.
We will now go on to oral reports. City Administrator, do you have an oral report for us?
Good morning, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. On February 5th, Vernon Police Department officers arrested a male in the 3600 block of Soto for trespassing and a no bail foreign warrant. On February 6th, officers were investigating a burglary in the 3800 block of Santa Fe and detained a male nearby who was holding what appeared to be a knife and a syringe. The male did not comply with the officer's commands to the drop of the weapon, which led to a brief struggle and his apprehension for resisting arrest. On February 7th, the Vernon Police Department arrested 2 suspects in the 5500 block around commercial burglary. On February 9th, officers arrested a suspect in the 2500 block of Alameda with a no bail arrest warrant for weapons. On February 10th, arrested a male in the 4600 block of Hampton for grand theft auto after a misdemeanor hit and run. And on February 13th, arrested a transient in the 2300 block of Vernon, the Petrelli lot here at City Hall for trespassing after he jumped the fence and rummaged through several unlocked vehicles looking for food. On outages on Tuesday, February 2nd at approximately 3 p.m., Vernon Police Department and Vernon Utilities, they experienced a 24-minute outage on the Zemer 16 kV circuit. The cause was due to a failed transformer near the 4120 Bandini. A total of 46 customers were affected. City administration, just as a reminder, all meetings will still be conducted remotely. The council chambers will not be open until the vaccine is more readily available and COVID-19 numbers continue to decrease. We do have some good news as far as the vaccine. We've been certified to get the vaccine here, and we have moved forward with purchasing a mobile van, which will be able to go out into the community, and we will be able to vaccinate our community members. That van is scheduled to arrive sometime this week. We are working closely with the health department to get vaccines issued to Vernon, which we hope to happen within the next 2 to 3 weeks. Our first commercial cannabis town hall meeting is coming up on Monday, February 22nd at 11:30 a.m. The second will be held March 4th at 7 p.m. Each will be a virtual session. All public is invited, commercial and residential. Staff will be broadcasting to the public and the Vernon stakeholders the dates and times and the topics for discussion via email and the chamber, city website, and social media. Feedback from these sessions will be important as the city continues to create a commercial cannabis-friendly environment for all of the community. Also in March, the city will be planning a ribbon cutting ceremony for its Little Libraries and COVID-19 safe spring event for the community. There will be more details to come in the next 2 weeks. Staff will be reaching out to the Vernon residents who are 65 years of age regarding COVID-19 vaccines, as they will be one of the first to be vaccinated once we can get the vaccine here in Vernon. And the outreach will be designed to gather if this group requires assistance with registration for vaccines and to address questions about the process related to vaccine distribution. So we're setting up a method for us to help our residents if they require to get reservations for the vaccine. Remember to stay safe and please protect yourself and others from COVID-19. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Does City Council have any updates?
I do. Sorry.
Freddie, did you want to say something?
Yes, I was addressing. Carlos, you want me to give council the update to the vaccine, not vaccine, the COVID testing?
Yes, please, Freddie.
Hello, council members. Again, Councilmember Ibarra, you asked that question our last meeting to check with the cities about the testing. So we did reach out to all the surrounding cities, and we learned that City of Bell and City of Cudahy was actually have a testing program that they're working with the county. So in researching, we learned that it was through the Supervisor Solis' office in conjunction with DHS, which is the Health Department of Health Services. So we reached out to the Supervisor Solis' office, and it was gracious enough to contact us with DHS staff. This morning, I received an email that they are interested. They want to probably do a site visit and see if they can do something similar in Vernon. So once I circle back and reach out to them and see what they can do for us, we'll report back to council.
Thank you for the update.
Thank you, Freddie, for the following up.
Thank you.
Can I report out now?
Go ahead.
Thank you. There on January 12th, 21st, 28th, and February 4th, there was California Contract Cities Association Legislative Tour. Councilmember Gonzalez and I attended. It was very important because speakers of both the State Assembly and the senators were there. And it included Governor Kolanakis, Lieutenant Governor Kolanakis, and Senator Portantino, just to name a couple. We were actually afforded the opportunity to ask them questions. My takeaway was that as soon as the pandemic is no longer a threat, their immediate concerns are this: homelessness, affordable housing, and climate change. And they're going to jump on those right away. So I think this is a heads up for instance, what Freddie was speaking about. There was no cost for attending this tour. Thank you. That ends my report.
Okay, does anyone else have a report from city council? Okay, on Wednesday, February 10th, I participated on a Zoom call with the White House COVID-19 Task Force, along with other city leaders in the surrounding Southeast cities. All leaders were given an update on COVID-19 vaccinations and what the new administration is doing to get these shots in arms as soon as possible. In addition, the Southeast city leaders were able to share and discuss our ideas as to how to reach hard to reach individuals to ensure they have equitable access to vaccine. The good news that I took away is that the COVID vaccine, there's been an increase in 28% of production, and that they're trying to roll them out as soon as possible, and they're trying to amp up production of the vaccines even more, so they can get these shots in arms as soon as possible. And we will now go on to closed session.
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of the council, at this time we ask that the council recess into closed session for item number 11 as posted on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day, everyone.